What's up, guys? Figured I'd give everyone a little update. Haven't had a ton of time to work on this thing lately. Been working on some customer vehicles. So yeah, I guess today got a little bit of extra time waiting for some parts for customer stuff. So we're gonna monkey around with this guy a little bit. What I'm working on right now, I got my alternator here. It's just a one-wire setup. So I got that connected down there, and then gonna route her right under this cross member here. Get that hooked up where it needs to go. Gonna pull the headers off and finish welding them up, and who knows, we'll see. Maybe I'll header wrap them today yet, but yeah, not a whole lot going on. Got some new wheels. Those showed up, so that's cool. What's not cool is what a set of 285s cost. The car has been sitting on them for, I don't know, 2-3 years now probably, and tread's great, but they're weather checked, so those are going to turn into burnout tires. So we got some new ones on the way. And another thing I could probably work on, depending on how far I get on it today, is my T4 turbo flange did show up finally. So maybe we'll monkey with that a little bit and get the turbo home where it's gonna end up living. That way we can finish up the cold side piping and all that happy jazz. So yeah, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the goal for today anyway. I'll try and film what I can. I know a lot of it's probably going to be a little bit boring, especially not having any experience in the YouTube industry. I did get a new phone too, so that might be helpful. I think now I can actually film in a wide angle lens, so it'll show up a little better for you guys instead of just having a little narrow screen. But yeah, that's about all I got for right now, so let's get to it. Well, got the alternator wire all ran out. Got her all loomed up. This is gonna run right to the positive post on the starter. So now this wire here, that runs directly back to the battery, so shouldn't be too big of an issue if it can focus here. Yeah, should work pretty good. So I just use that same terminal to tie it together, and then that'll go back to the battery. And then just got the one trigger wire here for my starter. So as long as those two don't touch, she should be fine. So yeah, that's how we ended up doing that. Overall, I think it turned out pretty good. My first time heat wrapping. I got one little part where it kind of folded over on me a little goofy, but they say in the instructions that you should wear gloves and a mask. I didn't do that. I did wear gloves, not a mask. I'm probably going to regret that, but other than that, stuff's pretty easy to work with. It says to use high temp silicone spray to keep it the right color, otherwise it'll turn white on you, but that's yet to be determined. We're going to find out. Well, got the Mushimoto, or however you say it, intercooler. Really, Bretta. All mounted up where I think I want to put it. Should have fairly good airflow there, I think. I'm going to try and figure out my home for the radiator now and figure out some figure out a radiator mount, I should say. Now I get to try and figure out how I want to mount the radiator. I should have enough room. I did end up cutting some of this core support out here a little bit, just to give myself access to the radiator cap, but she's going to be a little bit tight. It doesn't look like it, but where I have room to put it without getting into the core support any more than I already have, she's going to get a little bit tight in there with the cooling fan and the shroud and all that stuff. So I'd like to get that mounted at least. If I can get that done, then I can finish up my what looks like cobbled up wiring right now. But once I have the radiator mounted and get my electric fan all figured out and stuff like that, I'll figure out where I want to route all that stuff and make it all clean and nice and tied up, and should look pretty decent. So that's what I'm going to work on next. So after a little messing around, I think I got it mocked up somewhat close to where I want it. I got a little mark drawn there to try and center it up, which it looks like I could move over just a skosh. Give me some more room for the radiator cap, but I'm going to fill this in with some sheet metal here too once I get wrapped up with that. But overall, that's the general area that it's going to be in. Obviously the car's not sitting level either, but yeah, I'll get her where it needs to go and get her leveled up, and should be enough room. At least I was a little bit worried when I was looking at the dimensions of everything, but luckily that fan shroud puts a fan down just a little bit lower, so it'll clear the pump portion of the water pump there. So we got clearance. I'll just have to figure out how I want to mount the darn thing. Might be a little bit of a pain in the butt. She's going to be a little bit tight on this charge pipe here too, but worst case scenario, I could always clip that off just a little bit and then shove a hose on there, and I think there'll be clearance. Plus this also can move a little bit. I do have it all made up on the cold side for the charge piping, but we'll see where it ends up once I put that back on. It's kind of hard to say exactly right now, but yeah, should be good clearance-wise, which is a nice feeling because I was a little bit worried about that. Being that I cut the core support all up before I ordered the shroud and the fan. But like I say, the real estate up in here, I thought I had all kinds of room, and it sure gets eaten up quick once you start adding coolers and stuff like that. I think the transmission cooler I'm going to end up mounting down in here under the headlight, because that's about the only spot that I have room left. I don't have room in between the two really, and I'd rather not have it there anyways. I want to keep that transmission alive as long as I can, so I'm gonna probably just have that on its own so it's getting nice cool fresh air. So yeah, so I think I have a generic plan. This hole right there, right up there, goes all the way through. So I think I'm gonna make, oh, thanks Beretta, you're really helpful. I think I'm gonna make a little bracket. It's almost in line, almost dead center with where I want my radiator anyways. So if you come over here, I think I'm gonna take some of this and just make a little tab about 1.5 inches long or so, drill a hole in it, and then make a little drop down bracket out of this here. Some extra stuff that I had laying around, and I'll make a radiator mount out of it. That should take care of the bottom of everything. And then up here, I think I'm just gonna make some little 90-degree elbow brackets of some sort with, you know, a piece of metal that's that wide, you know, as wide as the radiator there, and then put some little rubber isolators on it, and then have it so it presses down and forces that bracket, or the radiator, to sit on that bracket nice and tight. And then I'll put some little inserts in here probably with the bracket, and then make it so it's adjustable so I can actually put some force down on it and get it mounted exactly where I want. Plus that'll give me the ability to, once it's in there, I can slide it side to side as I need to center it up. So it should work out pretty good, I think. I don't know. I've said that before too, and things have definitely not always worked out the way that I wanted. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you in the loop and kind of video it as I go through it and see how we do. Well, just making a little update here. Got the radiator sitting in right where I want it. Pretty much, she's all nice and squared up with the rest of the car. Ended up making a little bracket that drops down. I don't know, I'll probably bevel the ends of that square tubing at least so it kind of comes to a point. But basically just got two little bolts right here that I can kind of tension the radiator up with. So I'm thinking, since there's plenty of thread there, these are just some bolts I had laying around. I'm thinking if I make some little feet that jam down into here, I can actually just tighten them up with them bolts there, and I can have them actually, the top mounts actually just fixed right up here. But I still got to get the turbo sitting in there. It's going to be like right in this general region. So radiator hoses are going to be fun, I'm sure. But overall, pretty happy. I know that the radiator fan is gonna fit there. Just kind of a bastard. I can't get it in from the top side with the fan on, so I'll just have to bolt the fan on after the radiator's in, or pull the whole support, raise the radiator up, get the bolts through, and then get the radiator in once she's all final assembled. But obviously got some painting and stuff to do. These brackets here, the radiator lower bracket is gonna have to get worked on a little bit and then painted up. But yeah, overall she's coming around pretty good. I'm glad that I could get this kind of fitting where I wanted it to, and I should be able to get the turbo set in place and then go to the parts store and see what I can, probably bend up some welding wire and see what I can make happen with just some factory hoses and cut them down and stuff like that if I need to. But should be able to make it look pretty clean, I think. Pretty much only got one more cooler left to mount. That's a transmission cooler, and that's either going to go on this side or this side. I'm kind of favoring this side just because that's the side that the ports are on the side of the transmission for the supply and return for the transmission cooler. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, looks like everything's gonna fit. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, the turbo. If I can make that fit in there, which I think I can, should be the last major hurdle that I have to run through. I don't know, the charge piping for the intercooler on this side might get a little interesting too, but I know this side fits over here. I have that made up. That's gonna work just fine, but the turbo has me a little bit nervous. I had it in there before, but I wasn't exactly sure where the radiator was gonna fit. So it's gonna be tight, but I think it'll work. Well, this is about where the turbo is gonna sit. It's a little ridiculous, but it's gonna be clocked just a little more this way, I think. If it'll stay there, that'd be cool. Yeah, that's about what we're looking at. She's gonna get real tight down in there. Exhaust, I'm thinking I'm gonna go blow through this little strut tower here area, somewhere in there, roll a 40 or the 4-inch pipe down and then out the bumper. But yeah, there's not a ton of room left, but we're gonna use every little bit that there is. I'll show you here. I used some stainless steel filler wire because I'm trying to figure out my radiator hoses, and she's gonna be real tight, but I think it'll work. Worst case scenario, I can cut this down just a little bit and then cut that down a little bit, and then I can always weld just a little lip on there just to hold the radiator hose on. But yeah, she's gonna be real tight. Still got to get the supply for the oil, and then way down in there, if it'll focus, way down in there will be the turbo drain line. So yeah, she's gonna be close. But my goal with this thing is to keep everything under the hood, and I know the turbo clears right there, but yeah, man, just not a lot of room. You drop the motor in for the first time and it looks like you got a mile of room up front, which kind of do, but sure gets eaten up quick once you throw a radiator and a water pump and everything else on there. But I know if I have it mounted here, as long as I can figure out a radiator hose, I can make the cold side work. It's going to be a little bit of a bastard, I think, but I will get it in there one way or another. And the exhaust side of the turbo housing, if I can't make it through here, which I think I shouldn't have any issue with, there's always a hood. So there we go.